Today with us we have Mrs. Annie Lee Wetling. She was the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Hotel Furama Kempinski in Hong Kong. In the line of work, she was in charge of sales and marketing activities for the products and services of the hotel. She took charge of a department of 18 to 20 executives, and it was responsible for recruiting competent and qualified sales executives for the hotel. So, Mrs. Wetling, could you tell me how, as a director of sales and marketing, how you recruited sales executives?
Well, in hiring executives, I practice both internal and external recruitment. For internal recruitment, basically, I work with a human resources manager, asking them to follow up with managers, especially the front of the house manager, like front office manager or the guest relations manager, in terms of asking them to identify whether some of the frontline employees had good approach in serving guests, have good product knowledge about the hotel, good communication skills, and language skills. Because with those people, it is easy to develop them into the sales executives. As for external recruitment, apart from putting an advertisement on the newspaper, like the classified post in South China Morning Post on Saturday, it is a very common as well as effective in a sense because every job hunter reads Saturday newspaper. But apart from that, I sometimes find out that referrals also work very well. When I need sales executive in a very short time, I will call up my contacts or my colleagues in the hotel industry and ask if they knew somebody is looking for a job or if somebody that is capable will be suitable for my hotel. Apart from that, also, when I'm attending social functions, I come into contact with a lot of sales executives and sales managers of other hotels. I tend to pay attention and watch them a little bit. And if they happen to be very good, outstanding, I actually would leave them my business card and invite them to contact me. Maybe they are interested in working in a new hotel or new challenges. So, in short, that's the way that I normally use for recruitment.
Moving on, Mrs. Wetling, in terms of training, what forms of training did you specifically used when hiring sales executives?
When after the sales executive have attend all the necessary orientation and all these things, when they come to my department, we will give them a more interactive as well as very direct coaching and supervision. I would normally assign a more senior or experienced sales manager to be like a big brother, okay, to take the new recruit under his or her arms and try to get her to accompany the new sales executive for a week or two and let her also go through what we normally call double calling in our trade. Whereby the new recruit will accompany the senior sales manager on a sales call or sales presentation. So the role of the new recruit is very passive. I mean, she or he will watch how the experienced sales manager behave and conduct the sales call. And in times, after a while, we actually will let the new sales executive conduct a sales call. And this time, the senior sales manager will watch her. Okay, will not interrupt her, will watch her. And then after that, when we come back to the office, we will explain to her what she did well and what she needs to improve. So we believe double calling is a kind of confidence boosting, as well as also let the new recruits see how things can be done by a seasoned sales manager. And as soon as he or she is ready, we will be able to let her conduct a simple sales call. Or sometimes we even call ahead of the time to our client and tell her, well, we're bringing you a new sales manager, hopefully you will bear with her and let her do the sales call. And by doing that, we will slowly let the new sales executive warm up to the surrounding and things like that. And apart from that, I also participate in the training process. When time allows, at the end of the day, when the new recruit finished the work, I normally will call her in and do a little role play. I'm sure you know in school, I play the role of a difficult client, and then the sales manager may try to sell me, or I take the role of another different kind of customer, just to test and to give her the opportunity to try out new selling techniques. And last but not the least, very academic, we also use some case studies. Okay, we will try to give her some background of situation and try to see how she's going to apply certain skills or certain concept into handling a difficult client or a very complicated piece of business. So, unlike other people think that sales manager come in with everything ready. Actually, no matter how good a sales manager is in Hotel A, when he or she comes to Hotel B, we have to go through similar kind of activities in order to make sure that he or she is ready for this new hotel.
So, Mrs. Wetling, after you've hired and trained the sales executives, how can you ensure that he or she is performing well and up to standards?
Okay, I'm sure you heard about appraisal. Okay, in terms of the sales department, we do appraisal, not just annually. Sometimes we appraise the sales executive quite often according to the performance level. When we do appraisal, we basically encourage the executive to participate. It's not a one-sided evaluation where, as a supervisor, I give her a check or a cross. Before we sit down to talk about her performance, I actually will ask her or him to do a self-assessment, to do a self-evaluation. Let she tell me how she or he thinks about his own work. And when she had completed that, then I would actually sit down. Instead of paper back and forth, I sit down and I would talk to her and also tell her how I think about the performance as a whole. And sometimes, it's not a very good story because we don't agree with each other. I said that she is not good. She said that she is excellent. So there is a little bit interaction. And I do manage to have an open channel. I'll listen to what she has to say. But at the same time, I will also have to share with her the observation of the other colleagues in the department or even the other department managers. Because being a sales executive, you have to work with not only the sales department, you have to work with departments like the front office, the F&B department, and the housekeeping. So if the overall comments from other departments are not positive, she is not actually doing such a good job then, right? So based on the self-evaluation and my feedback, we will come to terms and discuss how we can do better. And in terms of doing better, I also will make things more realistic by setting goals for the next year. So I'll give her 3 to 5 goals, okay, not too many, a few goals, a few realistic ones that I know she can achieve. I'm sure you heard about SMART goals, SMART. So basically, if we set very specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bounded goal for the executive, then it is easier for her to plan herself to achieve those goals. And then again, the next time when we sit down, we will just review whether, how far or how much she has achieved the goals. And this is like a cycle. And that's why, if we can continue to do the appraisal, we can also enhance the sales executive techniques, and at the same time also make her feel belong to the place, because as a supervisor, as a department manager, I take the time out to talk to her, to make her feel important, and at the same time listen to what she has to bring to the table. So as a result, the appraisal becomes a more interactive and also more workable solution.
All right. Thank you for your time, Mrs. Wetling. In this interview, Mrs. Wetling mentioned that she practiced both internal and external forms of recruitment. Internally, Mrs. Wetling would talk to fellow managers and ask for recommendations on who would be most suitable for a promotion or if someone deserved a promotion. The advantages of this method are that the promotion is internally and the employee would already have the necessary skills, knowledge, and experience to benefit the business. It would also increase employee morale and encourage him or her to work more efficiently. The biggest disadvantage of this form of recruitment would be the issue of favoritism in internal promotions. Employees may be promoted based on personal relationships. However, this may not benefit the business as these employees may not have the skill set for the necessary job. Also, internal promotions do not allow for new ideas to help benefit the business. Externally, Mrs. Wetling practiced 3 different methods of recruitment. First of all, recruitment was made through newspaper ads in the South China Morning Post under the classified ads section. The advantages of this form of recruitment include the fact that it can be seen by everyone. The business will have a lot more applications to choose from, and ultimately, with the increase in number of applications, the business will have a better chance of finding the best candidate for the job. This will ultimately help the business in the long run as they will be able to go through an extensive selection process to find the employee most suitable for the job with the right skill set, knowledge, and experience. However, on the other side, constant ads in the newspaper may give the company a bad reputation as it may give the public an image of high staff turnover as they are always looking for employees. Also, newspaper ads are very expensive. Second, another form of recruitment Mrs. Wetling used was asking for referrals from colleagues within the hotel industry. The benefits of this method again allow for employees to bring in new ideas and knowledge to benefit the business. Also, the candidates come highly recommended from various colleagues. However, the disadvantage with this form of recruitment again is favoritism, and that referrals will be made based on personal relationships. Lastly, Mrs. Wetling would attend social functions such as company parties as a way to recruit externally as well. At such social functions, Mrs. Wetling was able to establish personal relationships with new possible candidates and got to know them more personally. However, the disadvantage of this form of recruitment may be that this is too casual and personal for recruitment. Also, at such parties, Mrs. Wetling might have misjudged the people she met. Moving on to training, Mrs. Wetling again had 3 main methods of training. First off was double calling, which is basically having the newly hired employee shadow a higher experienced sales executive in a normal day's work. The benefits of this is that the newly hired employee will be able to see what actually goes on every day as a sales executive. He or she will be able to ask questions directly and this gives the employee a more real-life example, as this would ultimately boost his or her confidence in the job. However, it is very time-consuming for high-ranked sales executives, and personal conflicts between such executives and the employee may arise. Another form of training used was simulations, where Mrs. Wetling would simulate the role of a consumer or customer, and the employee would have to think of methods on the spot of how he or she would sell the hotel to her. This exercise encourages employees to use different solutions and think outside of the box, which can result in new ideas ultimately benefiting the business. It is also a direct assessment of the employee's capabilities. However, again, it is very time-consuming for important sales executives to carry out. Lastly, Mrs. Wetling also gave newly hired employees case studies to analyze and evaluate. The benefits of this method of training allows for Mrs. Wetling to make a benchmark of the employee's performance and abilities to use different solutions in the different situations. This is very much like the simulations, and again, the disadvantage would be that it was too time-consuming for important sales executives to carry out. Lastly, in terms of appraisal, Mrs. Wetling had a cycle of methods she used to evaluate employee performances. First of all, she had employees fill out a self-evaluation. After a self-evaluation, a conference between the employee and Mrs. Wetling was held to further discuss their performance. Following, Mrs. Wetling would set SMART goals for the employee to meet by the next self-evaluation. These SMART goals would serve as the basis of the next evaluation of employee performances. The benefits of having a sort of cycle is that it includes multiple methods of appraisal, and the SMART goals can motivate the employee to do better. However, such goals can put stress on the employee, and usually appraisals in the hotel industry are done in October, which is a busy month for the management team and important sales executives